It's 3 AIM, the hour when secrets refuse to stay buried. These aren't just stories, they're archived truths. Welcome to the 3 AIM archive files.
When he was chosen. It begins in a way that feels completely ordinary. A man leaves a convenience store late at night after picking up food, the kind of routine stop people make without thinking twice. The parking lot is quiet, almost empty, and nothing about the moment suggests anything unusual is about to happen. He gets into his car, starts the engine, and begins driving home. For the first few seconds, everything follows a normal pattern. The road is calm, the environment familiar, and there's no clear reason to feel uneasy. But then another car pulls out from the same parking lot and falls in behind him. At first it looks like coincidence, just someone heading in the same direction, but as the seconds pass, something starts to feel off. The car doesn't turn, it doesn't slow down, it stays directly behind him, maintaining a distance that feels intentional rather than random. Every movement he makes, the car mirrors it. That quiet sense of unease begins to grow. Not strong enough to cause panic yet, but enough to make him aware that something isn't right. As he continues driving, that feeling builds, becoming harder to ignore. Then, as he approaches a stop sign, everything changes in an instant. The car behind him suddenly accelerates, moving out from behind and pulling directly in front of him. It stops abruptly, completely blocking his path. There is no space to move forward, no clear way around. And before he can fully process what's happening, the doors of the other car begin to open. Not just one door, but several. Multiple people start stepping out, moving quickly and with purpose. In that moment, the situation becomes clear. This is not random, not a misunderstanding, and not a coincidence. The positioning, the timing, the movement, all of it points to something deliberate. The realization hits all at once. He didn't just end up in this situation. He was selected, followed, and brought to this exact moment. No time to think. The situation leaves no room for hesitation. As soon as the doors open and the people begin stepping out, there is no time to stop and process what's happening. The reaction has to be immediate. Without waiting, he throws the car into reverse, pressing down hard as the tires screech against the pavement. The movement is sudden, aggressive, and not perfectly controlled, but control isn't the priority. Distance is. The people moving toward him are close enough that even a moment of hesitation could change everything. As the car moves backward, it creates just enough space to prevent them from reaching him. It's a narrow escape, measured in seconds. But the danger doesn't end there. Almost immediately, the people return to their vehicle and begin chasing him again. What started as a blocked road becomes a pursuit. The car behind him closes in quickly, following every turn, maintaining pressure, refusing to fall back. The sense of urgency increases with every second. He reaches for his phone, calling for help while still driving, trying to explain the situation as clearly as possible. His voice reflects the tension of the moment, the awareness that this isn't something minor. But help takes time, and time is exactly what he doesn't have. The road ahead feels uncertain, and the car behind him remains close, matching his speed and direction. Up ahead, there's a police vehicle stopped at a traffic light. It's a small detail in the environment, but in that moment it becomes everything. He moves toward it, understanding immediately what it represents. And as he approaches, the car behind him reacts as well. The people who had been following him suddenly change direction, turning away and speeding off. The situation ends as quickly as it escalated. The tension breaks, but the impact of what just happened remains. It becomes clear that the outcome depended entirely on how quickly he reacted. There was no second chance, no opportunity to recover if he had waited even a moment longer. 3. The warning too late. Some situations don't build slowly. They appear without enough time to understand them. A father is driving at night with his daughter beside him, moving through a dark road where visibility is limited and the surroundings are barely visible beyond the reach of the headlights. The road feels empty, quiet, and uneventful. Then, from the opposite direction, another car approaches and begins flashing its headlights repeatedly. The signal is noticeable, but unclear. There's no obvious reason for it, no visible hazard in that moment. It creates a brief sense of confusion, but not enough to trigger immediate action. And then within seconds, the reason becomes clear. A figure appears in the road ahead, standing directly in the path of the vehicle. The person isn't moving, isn't reacting, and doesn't attempt to step aside. The stillness of the figure makes the situation even more unsettling. The driver reacts instantly, swerving to avoid a collision. But at that speed, even a small movement can have serious consequences. The vehicle loses stability, the tires struggle for control, and the car veers off the road. It spins, sliding uncontrollably before crashing into a ditch. The impact is sudden and disorienting, bringing everything to a halt. In the aftermath, there's a moment where everything feels still, almost disconnected, and when attention returns to the road, the figure that caused the crash is no longer there. There's no clear direction of movement, no sign of where the person went. The road is empty again, as if nothing had been there at all. The situation leaves behind more questions than answers. Why was someone standing there in the first place? Why didn't they move? And how did they disappear so quickly? The lack of explanation is what makes the moment linger, turning it into something that feels unresolved and difficult to process. 4. This was a trap. Not every dangerous encounter is random. Some are structured, intentional, and designed to unfold in a specific way. A couple is driving along a quiet dirt road, choosing it as an alternative route to avoid heavier traffic. The area is isolated, with minimal activity and very few other vehicles around. Up ahead, they notice a vehicle stopped in the middle of the road. It could mean anything: a warning, a request for help, or simply a mistake. Without a clear reason to stop, they continue forward. As they pass the vehicle, the situation changes instantly. From behind the stopped car, multiple individuals appear, moving quickly toward them. Their actions are coordinated, their movement direct and purposeful. There's no hesitation, no uncertainty. It becomes immediately clear that this was planned. The positioning of the vehicle, the use of headlights, the timing of the approach, all of it was designed to create this exact moment. The driver reacts quickly, shifting the vehicle into reverse to create distance, then forward again to avoid being surrounded. The movement is controlled but urgent, driven by the need to escape rather than engage. One of the individuals gets close enough to reach toward the vehicle, attempting to break in, coming within inches of making contact. The tension in that moment is intense, defined by how close the situation comes to turning into something worse. Despite the pressure, they manage to break free, accelerating away from the scene. As they leave, a loud sound can be heard behind them, suggesting that the situation escalated further after their escape. What makes the encounter particularly disturbing is the realization that it was carefully arranged. It wasn't chance or coincidence. It was a setup designed to trap whoever came through that road at that time. 5. When you realize, too late. Sometimes the difference between safety and danger begins with something small, something that doesn't seem significant at first. A driver notices the vehicle ahead behaving in an unusual way. It slows down without reason, then stops, then moves again in a pattern that doesn't match normal driving behavior. It's subtle, but noticeable enough to create doubt. Instead of closing the distance, the driver holds back, choosing to stay further behind. That single decision changes everything. The vehicle ahead comes to a complete stop, and almost immediately, multiple individuals exit and begin moving toward him. The shift from uncertainty to clear danger happens in seconds. There's no time to reconsider or plan. The response has to be immediate. The driver accelerates, moving forward with force, choosing to break through the obstacle rather than remain trapped behind it. The impact is direct and powerful, pushing through the barrier and creating a path forward. It's a high-risk action, but in that moment, it's the only available option. What stands out is how quickly the scenario changes from something questionable to something dangerous. The early signs were there, but easy to ignore. Recognizing those signs and acting on them is what created the opportunity to escape. Without that awareness, the outcome could have been very different. The moment highlights how quickly situations can escalate and how important it is to respond before it's too late. 6. Nature doesn't care. There are moments where danger comes without intention, without planning, and without any way to predict it. A driver moves along a road during a severe storm, the environment already unstable with strong winds and heavy rain. The conditions reduce visibility and create uncertainty, but the road remains passable. Then, without warning, power lines begin to fall across the road. These aren't just physical obstacles. They carry a level of danger that isn't immediately visible, but is extremely serious. As the lines hit the ground, It creates sparks, turning the surface into something unpredictable and hazardous. The driver reacts quickly, steering away at the last possible moment, avoiding contact by a narrow margin. The situation is resolved in seconds, but the risk involved is significant. In another scenario, a driver finds himself surrounded by fire, with flames extending along both sides of the road. The heat, the smoke, and the limited visibility create an environment that feels overwhelming. There's no safe direction, no clear exit, only a path forward through the danger. The driver continues moving, navigating through conditions that are difficult to process in real time. These moments demonstrate a different kind of threat. There's no intent behind them, no one to anticipate or avoid. They occur suddenly, driven by environmental factors that can change without warning. Survival in these situations depends entirely on awareness, reaction, and the ability to adapt quickly. Unlike other encounters, there's no negotiation, no escape from intention, only the need to move through it and hope for the best outcome. 7. The one that makes no sense. Some situations stand out not because of the danger itself, but because they don't follow any clear logic. A driver moves along a highway at night, the road mostly empty, the environment quiet and uneventful. Then suddenly, a figure appears ahead. A small child is walking alone in the middle of the highway, far from any visible source of help or supervision. The presence of the child immediately creates concern, because it doesn't align with the environment. There are no nearby vehicles stopped, no indication of where the child came from, and no explanation for why they would be there. The driver reacts quickly, avoiding contact and continuing forward. He reports the situation, expecting a response that will resolve the concern. Initially, it seems like the situation is handled, as he is informed that the child has been located. But later, that information changes. Authorities state that no child was found, despite searching the area. No reports are filed, no missing persons are connected to the sighting, and no further information is provided. The situation remains unresolved. The footage exists, the sighting is real, but there is no explanation to match it. This lack of resolution is what makes the moment particularly unsettling. It creates a disconnect between what was clearly seen and what can be confirmed. Without answers, the event remains open, leaving behind uncertainty that can't be easily dismissed or explained. 8-1 decision. Across all of these situations, there is a consistent element that determines the outcome. It isn't location, timing, or even the type of danger. It's the decisions made in the moment. Each scenario begins in a normal way, with no clear indication of what is about to happen. There is no time to analyze or plan, only time to act, choosing to reverse instead of waiting, choosing to maintain distance instead of approaching, choosing to trust a sense of unease, even without clear evidence. These actions are not guaranteed solutions, but they create opportunities to avoid worse outcomes. The speed at which these decisions are made is critical. Delaying even slightly can remove the chance to respond effectively. What makes these moments significant is how quickly they develop. They begin as ordinary experiences and shift into something else without warning. The transition from normal to dangerous is immediate, leaving very little room for adjustment. The outcome depends on how quickly the situation is recognized and how effectively the response is executed. In each case, the individuals involved did not have the advantage of preparation. They relied on instinct, awareness, and the ability to act under pressure. That is what allowed them to navigate through situations that could have ended very differently.
The file is now closed, but the story doesn't end here. If you dare to open more, stay with us. The 3AM archive files. Let me know if you would like to watch any videos like this in the future, because I think it's a lot of fun, because some of these stories are interesting and scary, and just put them together well, I think they are still worth reading and still worth listening. So subscribe and like the video for more, and thanks for watching the video, and until I see you next time.